I love food. I love feeding people. I love hosting. Like, if I'm hosting dinner, it's a free course. I'm making up a menu and I'm setting the table, and you're going to sit there and enjoy it every moment.
Are you inviting us? Because it feels like that's happening.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. TBC.
Yeah. My guest on JobsWorth this week is Gabrielle Burt, founder of Gabs. I feel like I've done you a disservice straight away by not giving you all your names, but anyway, we move on. Founder of Gabs, a grazing bar in Leigh-on-Sea. Now, Gabbie, just to clarify, when we say grazing bar, I'm gonna list it because I want people to know that may have not heard of Gabs, but you serve food, wine, coffees, pastries, sharing plates, and you put on events as well.
Yeah, we are not a place where you bring your animals to graze on the grass, which is what I have been asked multiple times.
Thank you for clarifying that.
We are a restaurant.
Okay, brilliant. All right, I just think that's important to say because grazing can mean different things.
Yes, it's very broad.
Okay. Welcome to JobsWorth. It's lovely for you to be here. No, you're more than welcome. You're only up the road.
I know.
Yeah, it's brilliant. So for anyone that has never been to the Hatch, just up there is Gabs. Yeah. We're pointing in the right direction.
That way,
it means nothing if you're listening.
Over the bridge. We are over the bridge.
Over the bridge, exactly. And you're in a really cool spot that, we'll go on to talk about how nice it is to see somewhere that's actually drawing footfall again.
It's such a beautiful building.
Yeah, it's stunning, and it's such a cool space. But anyway, we'll move on to that in a second. We are going to start with the opening tradition on the podcast, which is when you were younger, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, so I listened to a few of us, and you're like, oh, so many people said this, but I always wanted to be a vet.
Okay.
And I actually went as far as going to college and learning how to work with animals for a year, and then I dropped out. And then I tried again, and I dropped out. And then I did work with animals for a little while.
Okay.
And then I dropped out.
Okay. But at least you are the first person to say vet and actually have done something from an education perspective to get there.
Yeah.
So well done.
Tried.
You've gone.
I went to a zoo when I was 15 in Australia.
Yeah.
I volunteered there for 2 weeks for work experience.
Right.
I was like, I want to do it in a zoo. Where? Australia. Great. Yeah. Got on a plane, flew to Australia.
Okay.
Spent my time there at 15. It was great, but didn't lead me where I am now. So
how do you get clearance to go to Australia for 2 weeks on work experience?
Beg your teachers, get your mum to work a load of jobs, and just, I guess, I don't know, just convince people that that's what you want to do and do it, I guess.
Again, if you don't ask, you don't get. There was kids, I did work experience at school, literally 10 minutes from my house because I could walk there. I never even thought that Australia was an option.
I don't know how I made it work. I just remember telling everyone, they were like, yeah, you're not going to do that. So I just started emailing the zoo myself and was like, oh, can I? And I kind of just set it up, and I was like, by the way, this is what I'm doing. Nice.
Okay. There's a through line there for like maybe why you're doing what you're doing. Yeah. Okay. Where did you grow up?
Shoebury.
Okay.
Born and raised Shoebury.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
What was school like? Where did you go to school? What was it like for you?
I went to school in Shoebury. I went to primary school in Shoebury, and to be honest with you, I don't really remember much of primary school. Okay. Like I had a great childhood. I had a great time in younger school, and then in the last final years, I had a shit time, to be honest with you. A couple of things happened and I hated it. So when I went to high school, I thought, great, this is the fresh start. And I remember walking into the assembly room on the first day, and I was like this little tiny chubby child in her skirt that was like over her knees, socks pulled up, shirt all tucked in. And they sat you down and they read you out what forms you were all in. And then it went through like A to I think F or something like that, or G. And it got to the end and I was still sitting there, and there was me and about 30 other kids. I thought to myself, where's all my friends? Like, where is everyone? And then they said, okay, this is now the separate bands. And they read my name out and 14 other children. And we got taken to a side room, and we were called something called Excel, which is basically where the naughty children go. Now, I wasn't a naughty child. I was loud. I was gobby, but I wasn't naughty. Right. And I remember sitting there thinking, what have I done wrong? Like, I don't understand. And within 20 minutes, a fight broke out in the class. There was a girl next to me rolling a cigarette, and I thought, Jesus Christ, like, I am not meant to be here. Yeah. And I remember going to break and everyone was like, oh, I've made such and such friend. And I sat there and I was like, I just want to go home. Like, I just want to go home to my mum and not be here.
Well, you're immediately made to feel as other as well, right?
Yes.
If you're in that smaller group and you're... was it, in hindsight, can you accept that you were Gabbie and maybe
even now
not conforming in like the quiet?
No, because even now, I don't think I was ever meant to be in that band. And within 6 weeks, I was moved out because it was quite clear that actually that wasn't where I was meant to be positioned.
And if you'd stayed in that environment as well, that's only going to be a detriment to you.
Yeah, and I think if I stayed in that environment, I wouldn't be on the path I was now. Like everyone that was in that class either got kicked out, had got moved to a different school, got put in some kind of like special school where you're in a smaller group and you're monitored more and things like that. And for me, it just wasn't where I was meant to be. But I'm glad I was in there because it showed me where I definitely didn't want to end up.
Okay. So it's a good lesson in a way.
In hindsight.
But 6 weeks is probably long enough.
But also terrifying as like an 11-year-old child who thought, where's all my friends gone?
Yeah. Well, those moments can shape your whole experience for the next 5 years that you're in secondary school too.
Yeah.
So no wonder primary school was a much more positive memory.
I was 6 weeks behind everyone because when I come out, in them 6 weeks, everyone had kind of made their friend groups and things like that. And I remember one girl who I went to school with said to me, oh, I can't be friends with you because you're in the naughty group. And I was like, but we grew up together, like we're friends. You know I'm not naughty, but because I was tarnished and I was put in a separate band and Excel was known as being the group where all the naughty kids go, or the kids that needed the extra help and things like that, it was kind of like, oh no, we can't be hanging around with them because we will then be part of that
guilty
naughty
by
group.
association,
exactly,
basically, yeah.
And I remember that really sticks to me because I thought to myself, but I haven't done anything wrong. Like I didn't choose to be put in here. So like I said, yeah, I'm naughty, stick me in that class.
But you stayed in that school to the point that you then did work experience and then went to Australia.
Yeah, so I stayed in the same school.
So it didn't. You weren't stuck there, and you did go on to.
Yeah. So I stayed in the same school, done my whole 5 years, and I think towards the end, I was a class clown. Right. I was always, if everyone was talking, I was the loudest. I was the first one, and I was mouthy. If a teacher, like it's terrible, if a teacher argued with me, I would argue back. Like I was wise above my years in terms of like some of the things they would say, I'd argue back, and I think I'd even leave them stunned. They'd be like, who is this girl? What is she saying? But I think that was a projection of me thinking that I'm an adult, I want to be treated like an adult, but in reality I was a child. So now I look back and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Pre-recording, you were talking about sitting, like being at home, sitting with adults, wanting to have an adult conversation, and kind of, and that can be an intrinsic quality about some kids. They feel more comfortable speaking in a more mature conversation or in a more mature way.
And I felt like I was around children all the time. And I think that's probably why when I would be like treated like a child, I'd think in my head, but I'm not a child, even though I am. I was almost like, why am I being treated like this when I know that I'm more mature than that?
Yeah, I'm trying to empathise with maybe some of the teachers.
Oh, I was terrible. I was a rat. I honestly was. And it's funny because I actually not too long ago went back into the school and done a talk with them about something completely separate. And the guy who let me in, who I'd been liaising with before, he was like, when I saw your name come through, I wasn't sure it was you because of how much you hated me. And I was like, I didn't hate you. I was like, I just hated being at school and I hated being treated like a child. Yeah. Now, in hindsight, I realised that that's how I should have been treated because I was a child.
So have you now got more empathy for some of the teachers? Yeah. Maybe not across the board because some we've all got teachers that probably deserved it.
Yeah, but some empathy. Yeah. And I think that actually they taught me a lot of life lessons, which is like only now I'm kind of picking up and I'm like, oh, do you know what? That made sense, and I can learn from that, even though it happened 5 years ago.
Yeah, we talk a lot about hindsight on the podcast, but
it's the biggest thing, hindsight.
It's so important, isn't it? And you can reflect back and go, yeah, okay, well, that has taught me a valuable lesson. When you're in the trenches experiencing it, you're reacting to it.
Yeah, you think, fuck this, get me out.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. Okay. Well, so much of that. Was it confidence? Because the word I keep saying when you're doing that, confidence is tied in, but maybe it's not always confidence, is it?
It's an ounce of confidence, a little bit of masking maybe as well. Okay. And I think that it's the wanting to be accepted So you would like constantly try to put your best self forward and mask it and whatever else, and hopefully you'd be accepted by the teachers and the class and you'd be respected and things like that. I was very much the person, I was the dog's body. I was the loudest mouth in the room. If somebody had an injustice, I would stand up for them. Even if we weren't friends, I'd be front and centre because I was loud and I was a little bit brazen and maybe confident. But I think overall it was the wanting to be accepted by people.
That's really interesting. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and therapize you, just so you know. But I think it's interesting because, it's easy to connect that kind of way of being with you're super confident. But we know that it's not always that as well. So a bit of masking in the mix. But I
think at the time, if somebody had addressed it with me, I would have been very defensive about it. It's a lot of, I think, as you come away from that situation, it's a lot of self-work that you do on yourself, and it's the people that you meet in your life, and that lets you reflect back on your past 100%. And your childhood and growing up, and it makes you realise, actually, this is what happened, this wasn't right, this maybe was right, but you reflect on it, and it is, again, back to the hindsight. It's
really hard as well to zoom out enough when you're still in that environment, you're still in that structure, you're still getting spoken down to in your mind in probably a patronising way by the powers that be, i.e. the teachers too. So you end up just doing work along the way, don't you, to realise, okay, well, the environment maybe wasn't right. There were some arsehole teachers.
But you're growing up as well. Do you know what I mean? That is it. You're growing up. So I think for me, through school, it's taught me life lessons that I've now had to take into the real world.
Okay. I'm going to ask it again. People might get sick of this when they listen to episodes, but I think it's such an important part of what people then go on to do around careers advice. Because you're 15, you're showing these self-starter type skills that are like, I'm going to go and be in Australia and advocate for yourself.
I was a strong driven entrepreneur. Like from the age of 6-7 years old, I used to sit outside the front of my house with all my toys I didn't want anymore, and I used to sell them on the front wall. I used to grow my own tomato plants, sell them for 50p outside, and then I'd go down the shop, buy some bacon and go crabbing down in East Beach. That was what I used to do as a child.
Didn't sell the crabs though, didn't push it that far. That's where the supply chain ended.
I didn't like touching them, I just really enjoyed catching them. I'd be like, yay, crab, put it back in the water.
That's so interesting though. Okay. And how did that evolve over time? So that's your kind of cottage industry at 6-7. And then how does that evolve over time?
So then I met my best friend, who I'm still best friends with now, and she lived opposite me. And I remember she moved in, and I said to my mum, there's a new girl across the road. And she goes, well, go knock on her door and be friends with her then. I said, oh, I can't do that. I'm not knocking on some random person's door. She goes, go outside, go and knock on her door. And she put me outside and shut the door. She said, you're not coming back in until you go make friends with her. And I thought, what?
That's tough love, isn't it?
So I sat outside for 2 hours, and I remember picking at the grass. I was just sitting there picking the grass because it's I didn't have a phone or anything like that. This was before I was probably the last year growing up where we still knocked on people's doors and we played out, and when the lights went dark, you went home. That was it. We used to do knockdown. We done the whole. We played out properly. We didn't have PlayStations, or if we did, they weren't what they are now. And some girl that I knew through a friend of a friend come over, and she was like, why are you sitting outside your house? And I was like, oh, Mum said I can't go back in until I'm friends with that girl over there. So she said, well, get up then and go make friends with her. I said, oh, I can't do that. She goes, come on, I'll take you. So she went over there. She goes, my cousin wants to be friends with you. And Ruby, my friend, she goes, okay. And we've been best friends ever since. And that weekend we had a sleepover. And then every other weekend since, we had sleepovers. And my mum bought 2 beds. I had 2 single beds in my room, one for me, one for Ruby.
Oh, how amazing.
And and we grew up together. So we done that, and then I said, Ruby, I've got a great idea. Let's start our own business. So we used to go down to East Beach. We used to collect shells, and we used to stick them together, and we used to make shit to sell, literal shit. And we called it Shelley's Beach. We went to I think, was it the works in town? And we bought little frames. We stuck shells all over them. And I think people felt sorry for us. They probably thought, who are these poor children? Selling seashells on frames outside their house. But we made money. It's sometimes we made £30 a day, and I thought we were rich. And we'd go down the road, we'd go to the Indian, we'd buy chips and korma sauce. We'd all sit in my room on the 2 double beds, sharing it.
So
we felt
this
millionaires.
was like a primary example of a lifestyle business.
Yeah, we was
just
we
funding
was like,
the lifestyle you want to live. Yeah,
we was funding our lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then we went on to doing eBay selling. I was like, Mum, you need to set me up an eBay account. We need to sell on eBay. And that's what we done growing up.
Where is this coming from? Because it all leads to the next question I tend to ask is around the inspiration that you've got around you. Is this just in you, or are you seeing this kind of, I'm not going to say wheeling and dealing because that's a different type of thing, but that entrepreneurial streak, are you seeing that around you anywhere else?
My mum had a business. So
Okay.
my mum used to own a wedding dress shop.
Right.
And I saw her from her business being at like the absolute height to it kind of not crumbling down, but you could go and buy a wedding dress online for like £200 and it was shit, but nobody really cared because it was a wedding dress.
Yeah.
And it put businesses like hers out. And my mum's 62 now and she works full time. And I think I saw her have a successful business and then kind of sit there and go, right, I need to reevaluate before I lose everything. And for me, I think that's what has always driven me. I've always been very self-sufficient in the sense of I will make my own money. I don't care how. I'll do whatever I have to do legally, respectfully, but I will make my own money. And that's always been kind of instilled in me by me.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I would never go to my mum and say, Mum, I want 50 quid, when I know that 50 quid would be the difference between her letting me go out for the day or her buying dinner for the week. So it was a sense of, I will go find a job. And at 15, I worked in a bakery. And then from the bakery, I worked in a cafe in Hadley. So I used to get the bus, 2 buses to Hadley. I used to work for like £4 an hour. And then I'd get 2 buses back home again. And yeah, I was always like, I will work. I will always have a job.
That is, again, incredibly rare, especially now, to hear that kind of work ethic. And not when it's directly, you're not being pushed down that avenue. I mean, it sounds like your mum pushed you out the front door and closed the door so you could go and make a friend. But like,
thank God she did though.
yeah, what an amazing lesson.
Yeah.
And then you meet Ruby and then you're friends up to this point, which is incredible. But yeah, I just think that has to be an intrinsic drive.
Yeah.
And for you to have seen that and then go and do something about it is an incredible trait. And it's obviously served you well for what you've then gone on to do in the business that you've now built.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me saying it feels like you've got a lot of energy, which is obviously something that you also need to go and do.
It's kind of insane how much energy I have. Great. I'm like a 2-hour sleep, then I'm like back to the party, which is work.
It's infectious. I will need to go to sleep after this, but it's I think it's brilliant to see like a real self-starter and someone that's willing to go and put themselves out there to make things happen. You mentioned, and I'll be really honest with you, I'm nearly 40 years old, and you've mentioned in your form that I get everyone to fill out that you jump from job to job.
Yes.
And then I think you're 23.
Yes.
How many jobs in the last 7 years can you jump around to? So give me a list.
I've done everything.
Bakery being one of them.
Yeah, so I worked in the bakery, worked in a restaurant, worked back of house and then front of house in the restaurant, and I was like 16, 17. And then I went and worked in greyhound racing. So when I was at college, we had to do 1-day work experience. And everywhere around, like there was nowhere really around like locally apart from greyhound kennels. So I went there and I loved it. Being around dogs all day, I was like, this is my life. And at 17, I was like, I love the dogs, this is great. And I was treated like shit by men. It was a lot of older men. It was very male dominated. They had very outaged opinions of how welfare and things like that. And I was like picking up the dogs and carrying them 2 minutes before they were meant to be racing. And everyone's like, you don't need to treat them like a baby. They're a machine. I'm like, no, they're babies. And then I'd take them out. I'd put them in the traps. They'd run, they'd win. And you'd see like 50-year-old men effing and blinding at me because I treated the dog like a dog and it won. And they treated their dog like a machine and it hadn't. And I learned a lot. I have nothing bad to say about it because some of the people that I met were fantastic, But I look back again, hindsight, and realise that actually a lot of what I'd done, I probably wouldn't now agree with. Okay. Now that I'm older and I'm wiser, but at the time, all I saw was I am working with dogs. I'm fulfilling that dream. I'm getting to do what I always wanted to do, which was work with animals.
You learn along the way to advocate for yourself, right?
Yes.
And you get a clearer sense of where your lines are ethically, yes. morally, yes. where you are wanting to push back. That comes with maturity and confidence. It's really hard to judge yourself too harshly because you'll only get there through 100%. Experience.
And I don't regret being in that environment, because actually there was parts that I really did enjoy. I have 2 greyhounds at home and I love them. And Steph, our oldest one, she used to hate being in the kennels. She used to cry, she'd scream, she hated it. As soon as she took her to the track, that dog was alive. And I know that if I took her back tomorrow, she would be bounding, because you could see she genuinely enjoyed it. But then you could see the opposite of dogs that really didn't like that. But I guess it's the same with humans. There's people that really like their job and they go to work. There's people that really don't like it but go anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's like, although there's no one behind them kind of leading them with a lead, you still see that. It's the same everywhere. But
it's a great analogy though to think of people going to like the greyhound track and bounding around at being their job. And it's different environments, it's different mentalities, it's different associations that you have with those environments.
Yeah. So if and you love your job, there's some fantastic people involved in it, and there's some people that really do care. Even now, there's so many people that care, and the welfare change, they're always changing. And I try to keep up to date in a sense of like from an outsider looking in rather than like from the inside looking out. Yeah. Because I have a sense of respect for it. The people that work in that industry and genuinely care do long hours for shit money, and they do it, they turn up because they care about the dogs. And that's not everyone, but there is people involved in it that do care.
Well, I guess you've got the people that care about the welfare of the dogs, and then people that care about the money-making enterprise of the dogs and what the dogs can afford.
And unfortunately, that's where I kind of like take a step back and I'm like, I'll shut up now, because what I'm going to say you won't like. Yeah.
When you're doing stuff like this, you're at college. What were you doing at college at the time?
So I was doing a level 2 animal management course at Writtle.
Right.
So I used to get up at 5. I used to get the train into Southend High Street. I used to walk along my keys in my hands, get onto the Victoria line, get to Shenfield, change over, go to Chelmsford, wait for a shuttle bus, then go to college. Right. So that was all before like 8:30 in the morning. Yeah. And then I'd do it all again to get home. Right. And it was like, I think that's where the long hour days kicked in for me, because I was up so early and I'd get back at like 6 in the evening. I was like, right, okay, I'll do it all again tomorrow. Yeah. And it does drill that into you. You're conditioned then, aren't you, as well? And maybe some people at a similar age now that aren't getting that experience don't know what that feels like. So when they do, or they're asked to do that, it's like being hit in the face. You're like, what are you talking about? That I have to go and do that before I even start the work day. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you, you talked about a defining moment in a previous job. Yes. And I was going to ask if you're comfortable to talk about that. Yeah. What I wanted to do just before we do that is circle back and say, with the careers advice or what you were aiming for then, what were people seeing in you and trying to guide you towards? Did you have anyone nurturing you to say, well, Gabbie, you could be really amazing at this? Or was it still all off your own back? No, don't get me wrong. I have a very, very good village of people around me. They're so supportive. But I am notoriously known for, if I don't like something, I'll drop out. Because I got to a point very early on after I left the Greyhounds that I realised my happiness, there's no amount of money I can put on my happiness. And as soon as I don't enjoy somewhere, I'm fucking off. I don't care. That's it. I'm done. As soon as I feel like my boundary's been crossed or something, I will leave. It takes a lot for me to get there, but I will leave. And I think that's where the jumping from job to job goes, because I can talk the talk. I could probably work my way into a lawyer's tomorrow if I wanted to. But at the flip side, if I don't like being there, I will leave. I don't care, because for me, I will not put myself in a position where I'm 20 years later doing Groundhog Day, working somewhere that I absolutely hate. And I think that's where the drive to have something of my own came from. So what do you think of when you see people that are doing that? As in, you see people that go, I think it's I think people that are just stuck in the grain and just... Yeah. I think if that suits you and that fulfills you, then that's fine. But I always say to people, if you're not happy somewhere, don't stick around. Nothing catastrophically will go wrong if you decide to take yourself out of a situation that you're no longer happy in. And in the long run, it might feel shit at first, but in the long run, you'll thank yourself later because you've taken yourself out of a position of where you was not happy.
Yeah, for the record, I agree. I think, again, experience, you have to go through some shit jobs to realise what unhappiness looks like. I also think we had Kelsey John Lewis came on a couple of weeks ago. Yes. She runs the Luna Edit, and she...
Beautiful, by the way.
Incredible.
Yes,
plug for
amazing.
Kelsey. She grew up thinking that it was a rite of passage to just hate your job and just suck it up and be depressed at work.
I actually listened to that before.
Okay,
that,
brilliant.
And I think when I was listening, I was like, wow, so much of what you're saying, it resonates with me
I'm kind of getting the crossover there is very much what I picked up from Kelsey, and then it's great to have come to that. She, by her own admission, came to that conclusion a little later on. She'd gone through a bit more of a process, but to have realised that 17, 18 years old... Yeah. A great North Star to have.
I just think I see so many people now, and I think they live for the weekends. And I'm like, you should live for life. Like, you shouldn't live for 2 days that you have off, and then on Sunday night you're sitting there dreading going back to work on Monday. And it's like Monday's known for being like a shit day in the office or whatever else because everyone's on a downer because they had a nice weekend. They're like, it shouldn't be like that. You should be like, I'm actually going to work today. I get the privilege of getting up. I'm fortunate enough to have a roof over my head, and I get to go to work and enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah. I completely agree with you. I'm just looking at you at 23 years old to have had that realisation so young. And I'm like, oh, fuck, I wish I'd I wish I'd realised sooner. And then there's the argument, if I'd realised sooner, would it have all led to where I am now and all this stuff?
Everything happens for a reason, I think. And I think that we're all on I'm very much a believer of the universe. Like, when we speak about, obviously, Gabs, that for me, I was very much like, the universe will make it happen. And everyone around me was like, you're fucking insane. And I was like, no, but the universe will make it happen. And then I'm probably thinking, who is it? And I'm standing there with my crystals. I'm like, the universe will make it happen. And they're like, oh my God. But the universe, I spoke to the universe, she spoke back, and now look where I am. So
I love it. Look, I think your outlook is very much infectious. You can't help but like be buoyed and pulled into it. And I think it's great.
Why be like that? You wake up every day and you have the choice to think, oh, another day or another day. Let me try and do the best I can do. Let me try and be infectious to other people. Let me be joyous, And I think that's how I try to live. And I'm not always like that. I spent the whole day yesterday crying because I was on a Debbie Downer. But then I thought, I can either be misog or I can be happy, and I can think about all the things that I have in my life that I'm grateful for, and that is what brings me back up to being an infectious, happy, joyful person. Because why am I sad when I have so much going for me?
Yeah. Love that. I love that. So can we talk about the defining moment, if that's okay, in a previous job? So you talked about this defining moment that kind of, I guess, acted as a platform for you moving on and doing.
So before Gabs, we had the grazing. I ran that alongside. I also worked in a beautiful little restaurant that unfortunately has recently closed. Another small business, which was fantastic. And I learnt so much from that. But my main full-time job, I worked as a support worker.
Right.
So I supported people with additional needs in their day-to-day life. And it's based in a house. We had 2 residents in the house. And unfortunately, one of them passed away. Now, I'll try not to get upset because it still really it does affect me.
Take all the time you need,
But I was really close with him. Like, we spent 12-hour days together. And unfortunately, I watched him being somebody who had progressed to passing away quite suddenly. And I think I was coming back from Wales and I got a call saying, there's Gabbie, there's no one to go and set up the hospital with him this evening. So I was like, okay, well, I'll do it. I was like, well, have you been off? Have you rested? I was like, no, it's fine. I'll do it. And I remember sitting in this hospital for 12 hours and I was awake, but I was delirious. I had been awake for like nearly 24 hours. And I just remember looking at this person and I thought, I can't put myself through this over and over. Like, I can't do this. This is horrible. And again, I think that's where now I am such a I'm a vocal person for people, and I think that's because I saw this person who couldn't vocate for themselves at their weakest point. And I remember he looked in my eyes, and I've never seen a man look so terrified. And then 2 days later, he was gone. And I was like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I tried to, for a little while, stay there. And I got to a point where I was like, okay, take the feelings out of it. This is a job for me. Like, I go to work, I come home, I go to work, I come home. And I got to the point where I was not enjoying it anymore. And even though I wasn't enjoying it when obviously everything was going on, I was like, I've got to keep going because I'm there looking after somebody. I've got to keep going.
Yeah, you've got purpose and meaning beyond just yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
And when he was no longer there, although I was very close with the other resident, it just wasn't the same. And it's like, no matter what I tried to like tell myself or distract myself with, the shift had happened. And I just thought, I don't want to do this. So I saved up all my money and saw Gabs and I thought, ChatGPT'd it, I thought, wicked, went ahead for it. And that was it.
Well, look, first off, if you need to take any more time on
good.
that, no,
All good.
okay. Like, thank you for sharing it, because you can see that it's an emotional story, and you had that relationship, and it is a vocation to be in those jobs. It should be a vocation to be in those jobs. To be in the job where you have that level of responsibility.
Yeah.
For people that aren't as able as yourself, you need to be in that. You need to love what you are doing, and you need to care deeply. Introduce us to the concept of grazing. So there's been like it feels like a boom. I'm ignorant to grazing. I mean, I know what it is, and I've been around plenty of grazing platters.
Very much, I think, I don't really know where the rise in it came from. I think it's the fact that it looks so aesthetic.
Okay.
And I've always been quite a creative person, so it's always done art, things like that. And actually, for me, a big outlet is creativity.
Right.
And I think working with the food, I love food. I love feeding people. I love hosting. Like if I'm hosting dinner, it's 3 course. I'm making up a menu and I'm setting the table, and you're going to sit there and enjoy it every moment.
Are you inviting us? Because it feels like that's happening.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. TBC.
Yeah.
But that's how I've always been. Like even in a case of someone's like, oh, it's my birthday next week. I'm like, it's your birthday. I've made menu. Like that's how I've always been. It's always been a little bit elaborate. So when it came to grazing, I was like, I don't want to just be a bog standard, boring, beige, buffet girl, because that's not who I am. So the idea of grazing kind of came up. I don't really know where it come from. I just was like, I'd done it at a previous workplace for a psychic night, and they were like, oh, you're really good at this. I was like, I am kind of good at this. Oh, and then, I just thought, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to just do it. So with Gabs Grazing, so that was what came first. That was the mobile, which, by the way, I didn't drive. So you're running a mobile business. I was kind of like, so how it happened was I had about £300 left over in my wages. So I went on, registered myself on Company's House, bought a few bits, made a logo up and just launched it. And I had no money funding it.
Did you tell anyone you were doing this?
No, I was just kind of like, guys, look at my logo. They was like, Gabbie, what is this? I was like, oh, I've started a business. And honestly, no one took me seriously. Everyone was like, oh, shut up. Here she goes again, another crazy idea. Because I do have stupid ideas.
Seashells in frames again.
That was it. It was kind of like, and even me and my friend joke about it now. We're like, do you remember we sell seashells outside? But look where we are now. So it happened for a reason. And no one kind of took me seriously. And I remember I shared it around and things like that. And one of my very first bookings was a place called Essex Influencers. So it was my second ever booking. I think my first one, I can't even remember who my first one was for, but my second ever booking was for Essex Influencers, which are based in Southend. And I remember sending them my invoice and it said 0002. And I was like, oh, that doesn't look like very, but I was like, okay, just send it. Hopefully they don't notice. And Sergey was fantastic. He was so supportive. And I remember doing the setup and he was like, if he could have pom-poms, he would be my biggest cheerleader. Like genuinely, even to this day, we speak about it. And he was one of my very first people I catered for. And I took some videos and whatever else and I posted that and it kind of got a bit of traction. And then before I knew it, people were tagging me in things on Facebook like, oh, can anyone recommend a caterer? Oh, Gabs. And I was like, oh, this is a bit weird. And so I think within like 2 months, we were booked every single weekend. And I was like, does anyone want to drive for me? So on the weekends, I'd say to like Ruby, I would say to her, should we go to Chelmsford and like go shopping? Oh, and whilst we're there, I've actually got a grazing set up, we could do it. And so like she would come along, she would drive us there, we'd set it all up, then we'd go out to cafes, we'd go out to restaurants, we'd sit down, we'd have lunch and whatever, and we'd speak about how like insane I was. Just, Gabbie, you're stupid, but like great, but stupid. Like, come on, we need to get the drive going. You need to start driving. And I was like, I don't need to drive, all of you drive. Like, what? And yeah, so that went on for a good year. I think, it come up to a year. And I used to walk past the building that I'm in now quite regularly because I used to work at the pizza boat. And I used to get off at Chalkwell sometimes and I used to like do the mental preparation walk before I'd done a 14-hour day. Right. And I'd walk along and I'd always walk past the building and it was empty. And it had the acorn pie and mash sign up that was kind of bits missing and whatever. And it was empty and the blinds were down. And I always thought, what a cool building. Like, it's so cool. And then really, really late at night, I saw it I saw a post on Facebook about it. Somebody had posted it basically saying, oh, look, another derelict building in Leigh, blah, blah, blah. And I saw it and I was like, oh. So I screenshotted it and I put it into ChatGPT and I was like, do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. Designed a little logo up. And the logo I'd kind of started toying around with in January, just messing around with things. I thought we'll do a rebrand of the mobile and whatever, because I can never just settle. There always has to be something that I want to do. And I put it through ChatGPT and it done this fantastic front where it was beige around the top, green and whatever else. And I was like, fuck. That is going to be my shop.
What did it feel like? Do you remember the sensation that you had when you saw that?
Like, I was shaking because I was like, oh shit, like it was so real. Like, obviously because it was a real photo, it looked real. It looked like it was already there.
Yeah.
And it was about 12:30 at night. And I remember going, Mum, look at your phone. And she was like, Gabbie, fuck off, I'm going to bed. And I was like, Mum, look at your phone. And she looked at it and she was like, what? She looked at it, she goes, oh, Gabbie, go to sleep. I said, no, Mum, what do you think? She was like, we'll talk about it tomorrow. So that night I sent an email to Scott, who it was up with, which was Essex and Suffolk business, commercial sales or whatever. And it was up with him and I sent him an email. I didn't hear anything back. So I sent another email. And then he was like, yeah, we can do a viewing in a couple of weeks. I was like, no, I want to view it now. Like, I want to come and view it ASAP. Like, I'm really serious, blah, 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 blah. I'd done a little business plan. I was like, I need to be taken seriously. So I said to Mum, should we go for a drive down to Old Leigh? So we went for a drive. I said, oh, let's pull up here. I said, oh, we've actually got a viewing, like, over there.
Gabbie, you're just tricking people into giving you lifts everywhere. Yeah. Is this a thing, right? Okay.
Yeah,
it's a skill. It's a real skill.
It is, thank you. I was like the ultimate passenger princess. And then Mum was like, oh, like, what are you doing? And I don't even think Mum quite was on board with it.
Okay.
We went in and we spoke to Sam, the lady who showed us around. And I come out and my mum was like, well, you've got to have it. It's yours. Like, you've got to have it. And I was like, oh my God, like, wow. And that was kind of the pinnacle moment where I was like, shit's real. Okay.
I've got so many questions.
Yeah.
What if your mum had turned around and said, I would have done it anyway. Okay. Because I was wondering, because you don't seem like someone that needs a lot of external validation.
Oh no, I do.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
I really do. I very much care about what people think about me.
Okay.
But I think, again, it's the masking. It's very much like I put a very confident self forward because I think my whole life I've been wanted to be taken seriously. And I think this for me is probably the most serious I've ever been taken because I am physically tied down. Like, I have a business now. It's not a little mobile business anymore where I can just go, oh no, I'm not going to do any grazing for 2 months. I have a business. If I don't turn up, that door don't open, I don't make money, I can't survive. So for me, this is like the most serious I've ever had to be.
I'm getting palpitations. That has made me feel nervous. Like, that's a lot of things. That's a lot of weight.
I think that I didn't come from, like, it wasn't a case of hand-me-downs. It wasn't in the family. It wasn't like a family heirloom, or it wasn't somebody going, here's thousands upon thousands, go and make your dream happen. It was very much a case of, you have to work hard. And don't get me wrong, I had help from family, you know, like everyone put their hands in their pockets where they needed to help me fund my dream. But ultimately, I put in hard work to make that happen, you know. And I think that I had to very quickly learn how to make sacrifices. I couldn't no longer wanted to go traveling. That's off the cards for the time being now because I've got a business to run. You know, it was a case of you need to get driving, Gabby. So I worked the extra jobs. I'd done extra hours. I would do 60 hours a week to pay to do a crash course so I could drive. And it was things like that. It was kind of like, okay, if you want to be in the big girl world, you need to start acting like a big girl.
Yeah.
And I very quickly learned, okay, cool. Every so often I have a little cry because I am just a girl, but it got me where I needed to get to. And so, yeah, I mean...
Look, it's exhausting. Think about how much you've done.
It's
exhausting.
I know, I am ready to retire.
I am tired, but in a really positive way. Like, hearing what you're doing, I'm just like, first off, at 23...
It's tiring.
I'm taking myself back to 23. Like, who the fuck was I at 23?
Yeah.
Like, I did not have my shit together nearly enough to be thinking I'm going to go, like, anything you've done. Like, your ability to go and get shit done is crazy.
Insane. But also, I don't know whether this is, like, something that's wrong or maybe right with me, but I always strive for more. Like, I always want more. Like, I love Gabs, but it's not enough for me yet. And...
Perfect. Because in a minute I'm going to ask you what enough is.
And I knew that was coming, and I don't know what enough is, and this is the problem. And I like so many people are like, Gabby, you need to settle, and I'm like, but I can't. I'm always striving for more, because if I don't do it, who the fuck else is going to do it for me? And that's how I've always looked at life, is if I don't fulfill myself, who else is going to fulfill it for me?
Okay. It's a good realisation to have come to at the stage of life that you're at, I think.
Yeah.
None of this, I'm going to ask a few questions now. Okay. None of this I mean in a patronising way. I mean it from a position of curiosity. But you're 23 years old. Do you think your age has worked against you? Or do you feel like you are judged on being 23?
A bit of both. Like, for me, I think, so recently I've had... The three questions I get asked a lot is, so when was you diagnosed with ADHD? I've never been diagnosed with ADHD. I just think I'm a little bit insane, but it's fine. Okay. The second one is, so is it your family's business? And the third one is, how long have you worked here for? And yeah, people don't always know that it's my place, even though the first thing, if you click on Gabs, you see it's me. I very much put my face out there now. I never used to with the grazing. I didn't want my face involved in it.
Right.
But with Gabs, I think actually I have a story, and I have actually a really fucking cool story. And I want to inspire other people my age for them to see you don't have to go and work a 9 to 5 and commute an hour and a half into London if you don't want to. Like, you don't have to do that. There's more to life. And if you want to go and work for yourself, build a good business plan and go and do it. And what's the worst that happens? It goes tits up. You've learned something from it. It's a lesson. So for me, it's like, no matter what comes from Gabs, ultimately, I will learn lessons.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I can take away from it. But yeah, I don't know where the drive comes from.
Yeah. It's so hard to be able to identify that. It's just there. So embrace it like you have, harness it, and just fucking ride it. It's so lovely to speak to someone with so much energy and enthusiasm and self-belief.
Yeah.
And again,
but I never always had that.
No, and it comes across as confidence, but it's not always that.
I think that, especially since having the physical shop, but actually since the hardest thing I struggle to identify myself as is an entrepreneur. I'm just a girl who wanted to have a silly little shop in the corner of wherever, and I just wanted to open it, and if people turn up, they turn up. And then suddenly we were full. People wanted to book tables. Do you do vouchers? And I was like, fuck, this is really serious.
Does it feel big and heavy and huge and weighty what you've built now? Because you started the grazing business in 2024.
Yeah.
Into 2025, you opened Gabs.
Yeah.
We're now not even midway through 2026, and you've got a business
that is 5 months.
Yeah, like you've got queues of people. I've tried to book in your place before, and you can't do it at short notice. Like it's mad. People are talking about Gabs when they're walking along the Broadway. Like, I'm trying to get in there.
I went out to a Thai restaurant, and 3 people come up to me and were like, "Oh, are you Gabs?" And I was sitting there. I was like, I'm a celebrity.
But what does that feel like? Do you feel a weight of responsibility, pressure? Do you feel any of that?
I do. But I think, do you know what? Nobody, as a business owner, especially in hospitality, it's fucking hard. It's so tough. Hospitality for small businesses are suffering so much at the moment. And it's literally a case of, if people don't walk through your door, that's it. Like and when you're working with perishable items, which is what we do, if I don't have a busy week and I'm throwing stock in the bin and my takings are less, I'm then looking and thinking, okay, where can I make cutbacks? And things like that is crazy. It is literally, that's how hard it is. So I think that the pressure comes from myself, but also nobody talks about all of the external. Like, I'm sometimes up till 2 a.m. responding to emails, and I'm looking through and I'm reposting and I'm engaging with people after doing a 8:30 till 11:30 day. And then I get back up at 7 a.m. and do it all over again. And then there's ordering and there's everything else that goes into it. And that's the things that I think people don't talk about. And that's the things that are heavy. Engaging with customers and being in my shop, I thrive, but it's when I have to do all of the serious stuff that I'm like, fuck, there is so much that goes into it, so much.
But this is what I'm trying to get. This is what I'm trying to get. Yeah, I don't want you to. Don't leave here with self-doubt.
No,
but I'm just trying to get my head round. You've gone from setting up a grazing business to now running a premises in hospitality, which is a notoriously fucking hard industry.
Yes.
You've got no operational experience.
Nope.
You've got no experience.
I'm the reverse of most people in hospitality. Most people in hospitality who own a hospitality business come from a very much business background. They've worked in corporate and they've thought, fuck this. They've had a breakdown and then they've left and they've opened up a hospitality business. Are you talking about
people in Leigh?
I'm talking about people across the board.
Yeah.
That is typically what happens. They don't come from a hospitality background, or if they do, they worked in a bar when they were 16 years old, and that was about as far as it goes. For me, I started off as a pot wash, and then one day the plating chef didn't turn up, and it was a case of, oh, Gabs, can you do plates? And I was like, oh, I'll have a go, and I was okay at it. And then a couple of months later, the chef didn't turn up, and they were like, oh, well, you've seen how to poach eggs and you know how to cook. Do you fancy giving it a go? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll give it a go. And then before I knew it, I was cooking, and then I left there. And I worked in another restaurant, a seafood restaurant. And there was me, a male chef, and a couple of other young girls. But obviously the male chef was a lot older than us. And power dynamics, I'm a very, very outspoken person. And actually, as a person, he was great. But working together, we did not see eye to eye. Yes. And I remember being on my tiptoes in my heighted Crocs, screaming at this 6-foot odd man. And he was screaming back at me. And I was like, I'm ready to have it out with you. Like, what are we doing? And he left, and it was a case of like, okay, fuck, now I've got to run a kitchen, and I've not done this before, but we done it, and it worked for what it was. And, it taught me a lot. I learned how to do the ordering, the long days kicked in. I learned how to lead a team, a small team. Right. But also I feel like I hold a lot of resentment to myself in that time because I didn't quite appreciate what I was learning because I was so overwhelmed by it.
Right.
And I thought I'm never working in the kitchen again.
Yeah.
So I done front of house and I hated it.
It's almost like if you could write some notes, again, if you had the foresight to go, I could be picking some stuff up here because one day I might be running
Gabs.
this business.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, hindsight is a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you're clearly respectfully learning as you go.
100%.
But it's a great lesson that you don't need to know everything before you start.
Yes. Yeah.
So, and you'd believe that? Is there any part of you that goes, I wish I knew more
No,
before
do you
I
know
started?
what? I wish that the hospitality community was more welcoming. It's terrifying.
Interesting.
I think, and not that hospitality people aren't welcoming because they are, but I think that everyone is so scared because everyone is so close to losing their business because of how hard it is that people don't want to share experiences, ideas and things like that because it's like, God forbid that they start doing it. Okay. With the grazing boards, it's a prime example. There's so many places in Leigh that do them and they do them fantastically. I am just another place that does them, but I know that I do them uniquely in our way and I'm confident of that. And I think that I draw people in not just for my boards, but they're coming for an experience. They're experiencing Gabs. They're experiencing what I want them to experience. I'm in control of that. You know, it comes down to the staffing. I have taught the staff how I want them to serve. A lot of them don't really have a lot of experience. Or if they do, they've come off of the back of having a negative experience in hospitality. And I want to change that because I've had negative experiences in hospitality. And I want to be an environment where my staff enjoy being there. My customers enjoy being there. It's infectious. That's what I want. And for the most part, I think that is what we've created.
From everything I've heard, I would have to agree. Like the reviews that are coming out of Gabs are just insane.
Yeah.
So to be here 5 months down the line, still learning clearly.
Oh,
and I'm sure
always learn. I think even 5 years down the line, I'll still be learning. Like you can never not learn a lesson.
Yeah, there's going to be lessons. There's going to and you have chosen to run a business in one of the toughest industries, as we keep saying. Again, I don't want to put you under pressure. What are the biggest changes from 2025 in you as a person when you got the keys, when you started doing a fit out? I read your Evening Echo article as well. Like
that was fantastic.
Yeah, amazing. Great exposure as well.
Do you know what? It was kind of like it all snowballed. It actually happened from completely unrelated, but my friend's family car got stolen and I shared it on Facebook and the Echo actually reached out to me about it. And then I had a similar direct connection. And they done a little spread about it and whatever else. And then I messaged him a couple of months later. I was like, because you done that and I allowed you, can you now do it on my shop? And he was like, yeah, of course. And I was like, yes. And that is how literally, but it's kind of the saying of if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah.
And thank God I asked, because from that, we then had other places reaching out and everyone wanted to be involved. And I think because I was creating something so organic and I was young, people wanted to be on board with that. They wanted to be seen. They wanted to join in on the exposure. And I'm a person of like, cohesive collaboration is the best way forward. Like I would do a collab with 10 other restaurants doing the exact same thing as me if it's done cohesively and we all benefit from it mutually, because it's a hard industry. And if we can support each other, then that's great. Everyone wins.
So yeah, as opposed to maybe generally in hospitality where people are scared. They're scared and they're ring fencing how they do things for fear of maybe sharing too much and seeing other people succeed. And it's not wishing people would fail. Yeah. It's just,
in hospitality, you're on the breadline constantly. And I think the money is so transactional. Like it's not a case of you're working on a computer and all you're really charging somebody is for your time and then anything else is a bonus. There's so much outgoings with hospitality. It's such a high pressure environment. And even now they're bringing out more and more things that you have to pay for. You know, a music license is something like £800 a year. Like no one tells you that, you know, and then you have to, before you've got your music license, you have to apply for this license and that license. And it's just so expensive all the time. And I think that if I had known that when I went head first into the deep end of opening Gabs in a month, I probably would have put a break on it a little bit and given myself more time, because it almost made me ill.
Right.
Because I was working so many hours. I remember sitting there on the laptop for like 5 days straight chasing these fucking chairs that turned up 20 minutes before we opened. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. And it's like, this is exhausting and I haven't even opened the doors yet. But again, everything happens for a reason. And if I didn't do that and I didn't learn them lessons quick, I wouldn't be in the position of where I am now.
Okay, I'm going to test you on your everything happens for a reason. What's the reason that the chairs only turn up 20 minutes before? in those moments, you're like, fuck
DPD
fate.
are fucking shit. That is why. And do you know what? I remember the guy. I remember he turned up and I was like, my chairs are in your warehouse. Yeah, I can't fit them on my van. But I've got your other box. I don't need the other box. I need the fucking chairs. I've got nowhere for people to sit. And he just looked at me. And I remember standing there in my leopard print dress and my fucking cowboy boots. And I was looking at him and I was like, what? What? Like, am I actually having this conversation?
These are good business lessons though, right?
Yeah.
You've got to expect the unexpected and prepare for
I remember that they turned up on this pallet. It was me, my mum and my uncle and a couple of other people, and he literally was like putting the pallet on the floor. I don't even think the pallet had touched the floor, and I was ripping it apart like it was Christmas, and I was throwing boxes everywhere. And this man just looked at me and I was like, I literally looked at him and I was like, do not fucking stare. I was like, I am a woman on a mission. I open in 20 minutes. I need chairs.
Yeah.
I need chairs right now. Yeah.
I wouldn't get in your way. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. When I scared myself.
Yeah. But, yeah, it's pressure, isn't it, as well?
Yeah.
It's pressure, and also you give a shit, which is clearly, give a shit.
But also it wasn't a case of like, oh, just go buy some other chairs. There was no money to buy other chairs. Like the pot was empty. I needed to open them doors. I needed to start making money. And that's how I've always been. When I started the mobile side, the pot was empty. My first ever booking paid for never had no money for the food. I had no money for nothing. They paid for the food, and then what was left went back into the business.
Right.
And then on the second booking, it paid for the food. What was left went back into the business. I didn't take any money from that. That was me literally just putting the money back in, and just constantly reinvesting it. Same when I got to there. I thought I gave myself a budget. It was gone within 2 weeks. And I was like, okay, cool. Vintage, just sell some clothes. We need to make money, work extra jobs, do what you've got to do, get them doors open. And that's why I think, again, I put so much pressure on myself, because it wasn't a case of, well, just go to the bank and get more money. There was no money.
Yeah.
I couldn't order more chairs. There was no money for the chairs. They needed to turn up. There was no plan B. But the universe works in mysterious ways, and the chairs turned up. So
they were there. Talk to me about sacrifice, because I'm going to go back to a point I made. At 23, there's no way I would have had my shit together.
Yeah.
But I was also, there is a degree, looking back, is that it's a rite of passage to not have your shit together and to fuck up and to do stupid shit and not have it all figured out. Do you think about the sacrifices you are making? You talk about travelling. One of your staff members has just gone off travelling.
Yeah.
Is it? Not gonna say
I'm so jealous of her.
You are
Love
jealous.
her,
Okay,
but
right.
so jealous. Yeah. I'm not jealous,
but I know what you mean.
I'm just like, to be able to do that. You know, I know so many people that are traveling at the moment, and I'm like, it's so beautiful. Somebody who, I won't go into it, but is in my favorite country in the world, and I'm like, fuck you, I love that country, and you're there and I'm not, and I'm here. Although I am living my dream.
Because you've chosen that.
Yeah.
And is that hard to reconcile sometimes?
Yeah, I think, do you know what it is? For me, like, as I started opening up Gabs, I fell out of a relationship and things like that. So the support that I thought I would have from, like, I have my inner circle, I have my friends, but the support I thought I would have had from my significant other was gone.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, okay, I've just done a 15-hour day. I've had someone speak to me like shit. I want to go home and have a hug. And Dobby is just in bed, my dog. And I'm like, okay, cool. You'll have to do, mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, and that's how I am. And now I'm like, do you know what? Actually, I'm glad that did happen then at the beginning, rather than 6 months in when the hard shit's happening. Yeah. And I'm like, have a little cry, buck your ideas up. You're a boss. Get back to fucking work and own it. And that's how I have to be, you know. I'll ring up 5 different friends, I'll rant, I'll have 5 different cries, and then I'll be like, what am I doing? Fucking stupid. Get back to work. And that's how I live my life.
Yeah.
Because that's how you got to be.
But you say are you content? Are you happy?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. And there's moments when I'm like, I wish, but I think you can always wish for the latter. And at the end of the day, it's my decision. You know, you made your bed, you lie in it. That's what people say, isn't it? So for me, I've made my bed, I'm lying in it. It's a queen size, it's fucking comfy as fuck, and I love it. But there's times when the pillow's the pillow's giving me a bit of a neck ache and I need to reshift. Yeah. But that's what you do, you know?
I love that. I think that's brilliant. It's a queen size bed. Okay, right.
It's a queen size. Yeah. I'm not greedy.
Can I ask you some advice?
Yes.
What advice would you give someone who's fretting about following their dream?
Do it. Literally just do it. Like, I think it's so easy. I'm the first person to talk myself out of stuff. And like with Gabs, I kind of like, it's a little bit of, I wanted to prove everyone that said I couldn't wrong. Everyone that said I wasn't good enough. Everyone that, it was very much like, it was a passion. It was like this fire was lit inside of me from everyone that said that I was not enough. Actually, I am too much for you, and that's perfect because I'm enough for me. I think that's how you have to live. You can't constantly think, oh no, I'm going to do it. Oh no, maybe I'm not. Dip your toe in, throw yourself head first. If it doesn't go right, it's a lesson. And that's how you got to live. It's a lesson. If you can wake up every day and have at least one lesson, then you're onto a win. Might not be a great lesson, but you're onto a win.
You're learning something.
You're learning something, yeah.
What are you most proud of
like, I don't like to scream, although I probably come across obnoxious. I'm not. I don't like to scream.
You don't.
Okay, good. But I don't like to scream about myself, but I am so proud of myself. Like, from being that girl who designed a little logo on Canva to owning a restaurant in just under 2 years, I'm fucking winning. Like, I am so proud of myself, but also at the same time, I'm like, but I want more. Like, I'm hungry to become big. I want to be big. I want to be recognizable. I want to be someone that people can look at and go, wow, what an inspiration. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's organic. That comes from me organically. It's not where it's been handed to me. It's hard work, it's drive, and I want other people to feel inspired by that, which is why a lot of our Instagram isn't just pictures of food or drinks. It's my staff, it's my team, it's me, it's my journey, because I am on a journey. Gabs isn't just another restaurant. It's my passion, it's my livelihood, you know, it's my baby. And if I decided to just go, there's the keys, you guys run it, I'd be doing a discredit to all the hard work that I've put in, and my friends and my family have put in, you know?
Yeah. So go on then. I'm going to circle back to the question. What does enough look like for you?
It doesn't.
Doesn't exist?
No. It doesn't exist.
No, I would argue nor should it at this stage.
I don't think you should ever put a lid on it.
Yeah.
I think that if you can strive for more, then always strive for more. You should always want more for yourself. Like, you can be greedy, and it can be greedy through genuineness rather than like greed from taking from other. I would never want to take from other people to fill my own cup.
Yeah.
But if I can fill my cup and 10 other people's in the process, then great.
Okay, I'm going to reframe this question. We had Dan Nunn, who's one of the founders of 5 Physio on a couple of weeks ago. And he said, he reframed the question around what is enough. And he said it's more about what you're willing to sacrifice. So I'm going to pose this scenario to you. 20 years down the line, you are Gabs plus however many other restaurants, or Gabs has gone to different premises or whatever. Yeah. The success is still there, but it still requires you to be involved in it. You still haven't gone travelling. You've not done your around the world trip. Is it worth that sacrifice? Yeah. Okay. I'm just saying that because
the idea is to eventually be able to. Well, obviously, I know you're saying that in 20 years' time it might not happen, but the idea is to always be able to get to the position where it can. Yeah. You know?
I have no doubt, having sat opposite you and got just a small snippet of the drive that you have, that financially you will be in a position to fuck off for however long you want very soon. It's just there is a risk, and not a negative way. There's a chance, let's say. Risk kind of suggests it's a negative thing, but there's a chance that you will be doing this for a long time because you pour so much of your energy into it.
But I don't think I think that if you was in a position to have your own restaurant and you're running it, it's successful, and then you fucked off now, then you shouldn't have it. Because at the end of the day, why are you going to put your name into it, put all the hard work in, and then just abandon it? I wouldn't do that. Like, for me, I had half a day off today. I was sitting at home. I was still doing admin. I was checking in with the staff because I don't want them to feel like I just work for another person who doesn't care. I care so much. Yeah. And it's not just, I don't just care about the business. I care about the staff, the wealth, everything. I care so much because no one cared about me at one point when I worked in hospitality, and I don't want them to feel like that. So if it means I don't get to go to Australia or Bali or wherever, that's absolutely fine by me, because I am building myself an empire, and actually that trumps being able to travel around the world. Look, immediately.
I love it. If we had an audience, they'd be giving you a round of applause right now. I think, yeah, we do have a very small audience. But yeah, I kind of challenge that, but only because you are so built for hospitality.
I am a hospitality girl through and through.
Why the fuck would you choose, like, if you're not willing to go through it and live it and breathe it and invest so much of yourself into it, hospitality is not for you. No. So all that's coming out of you is like, oh my God, you're so built for this, which is lovely to see.
I think, and again, every time I tried to leave hospitality, like, I worked in a bakery serving and I left and I went with dogs, and I liked it, but I went back to hospitality. I left hospitality and I'm back in it again. Like, every time I've tried to like take myself out of that. It's kind of like I found my way. Yeah, I've been like drawn back in again. And I think that I always say to people, you're either academically smart or you're life smart. I'm not academically smart, but I'm life smart. And I think for me is like, that's me building my empire, not based on business background, based on life background. And although I'm young, I've had so many experiences that have built the person and shaped who I am now to be able to lead a team and be the boss. Which is so crazy to think. I'm the boss.
What's next for Gabs? You're 5 months in. What's next?
Probably a 6 months party because I like a party. Do you know what? I have so many ideas. And like when we're quiet in the shop, I'm like, girls, what do you think of this crazy idea? They're like, Gabbie, why don't we just stock the shelves? I'm like, no, I've got ideas. So yeah, I think I don't know what the future is, but it's big. Like it's not just going to stop at Gabs for sure. And that's not a bad thing, but I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not going to grow rapidly and be this massive person, whatever. Quick, it's going to happen over time and that's fine, but I need it to happen organically. I need to build like a good team where 10 years later it's the same faces behind that bar and people know you and vice versa, you know them. Like even now we have people that come in 2-3 times and I remember their order. They're like, how do you remember? And I'm like, that's literally my fucking job. Like my job is to remember you have a cappuccino and a double espresso with coffee, like with hot chocolate on top. Do you know what I mean? That is it. A single shot there, whatever. That's my job to remember. And so I think that you meet people, like I've had staff and our regulars will come in and I'm like, they'll have the usual and they're like, oh, what is the usual? I'm thinking, you served them yesterday, you should remember. But that then I think makes me think, but you obviously must not care as much because I care enough to remember their order because they're putting money in my pocket. So I've got to care. Yeah. And that's building that team of people who care as much as I do. Maybe not enough, maybe not the same, but just enough that my business can thrive and they can also be a part of that journey. I think we're all on a journey together.
Well, it sounds like the experience that you had earlier on helped shape the way you want to treat people. And as the podcast is all about it, we want people to be working in places where they feel valued and they've got a purpose and they're happy and content at work. It doesn't have to be every day. It's not realistic to think you're going to get springing out of bed every day and be like, I'm going to work.
We all have rubbish days. And sometimes like me and the girls, we're all feeling down today. We're all like crying on each other's shoulder. And then other days we're like, that was such a good day. And like, it's that. But again, it's creating a family. And I think that when we went out last night for obviously our work do, it was so nice to see them all talking, not about work, not saying, Archie, where the fuck's the cutlery? Why is it not being polished? It was just genuine conversations, you know, and it was nice to see them in a social environment because you spend so much time with these people that you're working with. It's nice to know their good days, recognise their bad days, be able to offer that shoulder between staff and between me as well. And I need to get to know them, need to know what a good day for them looks like, what a bad day for them looks like. If there's something personal going on, they can speak to me about it, you know, and it's creating that environment for them as they continue to grow, they learn, and I shape them positively, hopefully.
I love that. I mean, look, you're going to smash it. I've got no doubt. I'm just sat here and I'm like, fuck, you're going places. Like you genuinely get that sense, but yeah, there's loads of lessons to learn, and it's amazing. You're clearly got every tool available to you to learn them and excel. But yeah, I'm excited to talk to you 5 months in. Let alone the part 2 on this is just going to be mental. Like it'd just be so interesting to pick up the story.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. Like even with Dana, who does our cakes, like I speak to her a lot about business because although we're not in the same, although she does cakes, so she's somewhat in the catering business, she's not in the hospitality, but we done a Mother's Day collaboration at Gabs, and it was so beautiful, it was so lovely. And after she looked at me, she went, how the fuck do you do this every day? I am exhausted and I've done 3 hours. Like and people some people just fall into it and other people do. It's a hard environment. You're customer facing constantly. You've always got to serve with a smile. If someone speaks to you like shit, you've got to be polite. Like, you can't tell them to go fuck off. You can't behave how you'd probably behave if you wasn't directly facing them, you know? So it's a hard gig to do.
Like I said, you've got to be built for it. And it seems very much so that you're built for it. Gabbie, do you want to play a game?
God, what are we playing?
Oh, I thought you'd be bang up for this. I've got to be honest with you. Come on, let's go. So the game we're going to play is called Off the Menu. All I'm going to do is read things. You have to say if they're off the menu, as in left, right in the bin, or they're on the menu.
Okay.
So these are things about hospitality, about business. I'm not just going to ask you about things.
I'm about to get cancelled.
It would make a great clip. Clearly joking. But yeah, no, so off the menu, I'm not going to ask you about food items on grazing platters, although there's a couple in there.
Love.
Are you ready?
I was born ready.
Love that confidence. Okay. So it's I'm just gonna go over the rules again. Off the menu.
Off the menu.
Bin it.
In the bin.
On the menu. We're keeping it on there. So you agree with it, basically.
Okay.
Because I've said the rules a couple of times to previous guests, and they get lost very early on. Okay. Customers showing up 20 minutes late.
Off the menu.
Thank you. You've got it straight away. Okay. Bottomless brunch.
Off the menu.
Off the menu.
I get asked about, Gabbie, when are you going to do a bottomless brunch? I went to a bottomless brunch once. I terrified myself how I behave at a bottomless brunch. So I will not be doing a bottomless brunch. It will never happen because I am Satan at a bottomless brunch, and I'm not having 22 Satans in my
22 versions
restaurant.
of you.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
At a bottomless brunch. Don't get me wrong, love them, love going to them, not in my shop.
Understood.
Off the menu.
I like that reason.
Capital
okay.
off.
People photographing food for 10 minutes.
Love. On the menu.
On the menu.
Yes.
Okay. I guess that
Your
leads...
phone eats before you do, period.
Some previous guests said that. Episode, I mean, we're talking episode 15 or something. We had a couple of, I guess I can't think exactly the best way to describe them, but there was a lot of social media stuff, and they said, your phone eats before you do.
Yeah.
And
social media.
It's a different world.
It's a fucking power tool. Like, I don't do half of my social media. Okay. My customers do that.
Yep.
Because our food is good enough that people take photos.
You're
they
talking
post
about
it
the
on their
aesthetic
story.
and creativity again. Yeah.
They post it on their story. They tag us. All of their followers see it. They then follow us. Okay. I didn't build a following from paying people to come down or whatever else. I built an organic following of people taking photos of their food because it looked good. And for me, definitely sit there and take 10 photos if you want. You want me to hold it this way? Do you want me to get some lighting out? Absolutely. Post it on your story.
You're making a good argument for it, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
QR code menus. Come on, get off the fence,
Off the menu.
Off the menu. So you don't do this?
No.
Okay.
And maybe in the future we may, but at the moment, off the menu. Okay. I think that it's one of the beauties of Gabs is we give quite a long time on our tables. Many places give, I think, maybe maximum 2 hours. We give 2.5.
Right.
People sit there sometimes for nearly 4. They're 4 bottles of wine deep in, they're whatever else. They've moved around the restaurant however many times. We've accommodated them and whatever else. But they've got lost. Their phones are in the bag. They're having a conversation. People don't sit in our restaurant on the phones. And do you know what? It's so refreshing.
Oh my God.
It's so refreshing.
This is my issue with anything that requires you to scan a QR code. I could go out with every intention of not touching my phone. And then the first thing is like, can you scan the QR code?
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I don't want to get my phone.
And I think, since having Gabs, I've actually really disconnected myself from my phone a lot. Because I find it overwhelming. And that's partly because my personal number is on my business number and it doesn't stop. So 9 times out of 10, the phone is out of the way because it just rings constantly. Okay. But I think it's so nice to go out and hold a paper menu, be able to read it, get it taken away, and now you're sitting in front of somebody eye to eye having a conversation.
Sounds terrifying depending on who you're out with.
Yeah, no, I agree. Someone you like. Do you know what it's when you have someone in and you can tell like a couple's just had an argument and they're both just sitting there like... And I'm like, oh my God,
Gabbie, your face completely fucking changed then. That was such a good
my
argument
mum did make
phase.
Me go into acting when I was a child. I was in a pantomime when I was 10 years old.
Different person.
Yeah.
This is going to be contentious. Dogs in cafes.
Yeah, on the menu.
On the menu. What can you do in Leigh?
They're babies.
I mean, and you also can't...
Oh,
given your background,
yeah.
but if you're running anywhere in Leigh,
Their babies, dogs, cats, donkeys. I don't even fuck. Bring them into the restaurant. Yeah, more the merrier.
This is where the grazing. This is where you're confusing people.
There we go. I know.
Okay.
There is a guy who's local with a goat, and I'm like, come to Gabs. You're welcome with your goat.
Take some pictures of that.
Yeah.
Right. Oat milk.
On the menu.
Like, what can you do
I'm an oat
about
milk
it?
girl.
People working on laptops all day after one coffee. Go on, say it. Be honest.
Ooh. On and off.
Gabbie.
Right. So here's the thing. If you come in on a Monday and there's space, by all means, take a seat, have a cup, whatever else, doesn't bother me. If I show at 4 and you're still sitting there and you haven't realised that I'm packing away and you've had one coffee, fuck off.
Oh, that's just shitty etiquette, isn't it? Like you need
but some
to be.
People, but some people are so
Absorbed
focused on
in
what,
it.
and what they're doing. But again, I think that since COVID, people don't go into offices, so actually going out and being in a social environment and working for some people is a really big step.
The laptop culture in coffee shops around Leigh is really important. I think it does a lot for people, but at the same time, you need to be conscientious that you're not taking the piss out of just 100%. Sitting somewhere.
We're not a co-working space. We're not. There's some beautiful co-working spaces in Leigh that you can go and enjoy it and whatever else. I think if you're going to go to a cafe, then you need to respect the fact that you are in a hospitality business and buy a couple of drinks. Like I regularly on a Tuesday will go to a cafe or something. I'll get my laptop out, I may sit there for 2 hours, I'll have a couple of drinks, something to eat, but that's because I'm conscious because I own a hospitality business.
Of course you do, yeah. You've got a level of empathy.
Yeah, if people don't know hospitality, then they don't get it. I actually think that people should be forced to do 6 months in hospitality. Like, you know, where it's like mandatory to go in the army in some countries, it should be mandatory to go in hospitality because some people don't have a fucking clue. They don't. They come in and I just think the way that they act, I'm like, have you ever been to a restaurant before?
No. I don't know if it will catch on, but you can ask.
Well, I will. Well, look, we're making headways, okay? I'm working on it.
Okay. Kids running around restaurants.
On the menu.
Okay.
Yeah, I love families. I love kids. And do you know what? I think that like some people have their kids and they're like, oh, sorry, they've made mess. No, please make mess. You can clean mess up. I would rather see a child sitting there flicking cheese around the restaurant but enjoying themselves.
I'm going to remember that when I bring my kids in.
Yeah, and you know, I love it. I think it's so beautiful and it's so wholesome to see.
Lovely.
And to have, I'm so welcoming of families in Gabs. I try to make it as welcome a space as possible. And I mean, we get mums come in by themselves. We do something on a Monday called a Mum Monday, which is really lovely. We get a lot of mums come in with their babies. And I had a lady say to me, like, is it okay if I breastfeed? And I looked at her and I was like, did you just ask me that? And she was like, well, is it okay? And I was like, that's not even a question. Of course it's okay. Like, you're feeding your child. And I think this day and age, people are made to feel so guilty for having children. We were all children once. We were all messy. We were all running around riot. We were all loud. We all screamed. But look at us now. We've grown up. We're adults. Do you know what I mean? And the cycle continues. I don't think people should be chastised for that. I think that you should just embrace it.
I feel terrible for putting it on the list. I mean, I knew you were going to say on the menu, but now I just feel like an arsehole for putting it on there.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to say it, so it's fine.
Did you?
No. Hustle culture.
I don't even know what that means.
Hustle culture is basically this narrative that we should be working every minute that God sends in an effort to try and get what we need. Yeah,
although I'm completely ironic because I literally work every single hour. I think that you should live to live, not work to live. Like I said earlier, you shouldn't go your whole week wishing for the weekends and then that's it. At the end of the weekend, you're back to work again. I think that everyone now, I think it's not a case of because they want to, it's because they have to, which is really sad. It's not a case of like, oh, I'm going to work 100 hours this week because I really want to work 100 hours. It's I'm going to work that because I need to put money in my pockets. I need to sustain my life. I mean, I wish there was something that we could, as a society, do something about it, but there's not, unfortunately. But I think that it's just cherishing the moments where you can step away from hustling constantly and just live for them moments, but also at the same time always hustle. Do you know what I mean?
It's kind of counterintuitive, but I get what you're saying.
Be present with your friends, but also
hustle.
check the emails every once in a while. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Just pop into the toilet, sitting there scrolling through, responding to submissions.
It feels like you're straddling both camps there, but that's okay. That's absolutely fine.
I think it's hard because I've been in both positions.
Of course
you
wouldn't have got where you are maybe if you hadn't adopted
I've been
elements of that.
the employee, and I've been the person who's like wished for my weekends, and now I work every minute of every hour, but I have to.
Yeah.
You know, but now I cherish the times that I don't have to work, and I'm fortunate enough to step away and rely on my team to carry Gabs.
Because you chose this life as well, and it's the conscious decision and having
the life
the autonomy.
Chose me.
The life chose
you. The life chose me.
Of course. Okay, I've got 2 more. 4-star Google reviews.
Now we're getting personal.
So for the record, didn't check any of your Google reviews. I was just like,
do you know what? We've had, for the most part, good. We had 1 bad review. That actually, that upset me, but I read it after I'd been there since 7:30. It was 12:30 and I read it, and I called my mum. I was like, Mum, I've got a 1-star review. And then I called Jess and Dana, who, Jess is my PT, a great friend, and Dana, again, she does the cakes, but she's also a really great friend of mine. I spoke to them about it. I spoke to Ruby, I spoke to loads of different people, and I thought, do you know what? I can either dwell on the fact I've got a 1-star review, or I can play it to my advantage. So that's what I've done. I posted publicly about it. I said, we got a 1-star review. And it was about our policies. Now, I've always kind of been a stickler for rules. Like, I hate being late for things. When I turned up 2 minutes late earlier, I was like, fuck, I'm late.
Glad you said that.
I feel bad. Like, I hate being late for stuff. I do. But at the moment, that just seems to be my life. Shout out to my mum's always late for everything. So I think this started to have a rub-on effect. But yeah, so I read it and I thought, okay, 2 ways. We can either be really, really like upset about this, or we can play it to our advantage. And it was about our policies. And I thought, do you know what? This is a really good opportunity for me to reaffirm why we have policies. Everyone has a policy. You know, I'm sure here you have to have certain policies for the podcast. Ish. Kinda.
You're giving us a lot more credit than we deserve there, Gabbie.
But you have them. You have terms and whatever else, and that's what you have, you know. And I read it, and I was just like, first of all, you haven't even experienced Gabs because you never even got that far. But it's with reviews now. People are so quick to leave a bad review. And a 4-star review, I just think it's either a 1 or a 5.
That's what I'm saying.
A 4 stars really tick me because I'm like, but why was it? It was either a 1 or it was a 4. What made it a 4 and not a 5?
Don't make the effort to go on there if it's 4. Like, you absolutely run it into the ground, or you give it a 5-star review.
Yeah.
4, just
yeah.
save.
But also, do you know what? Like, and I was saying this to somebody the other day. How many times do you go to McDonald's and they fuck up your order and you go back? Do you leave them a 1-star review?
That's a great point.
No. But when you go to a small independent who it's their livelihood and they make a mistake,
it's a great point.
Or something goes wrong, or it's not up to your standard, you go online and you radicalise them, or whatever it is. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Why do people feel that's okay?
Yeah.
We're human. Speak to somebody. Sorry, I really didn't enjoy that. I don't agree with this, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to leave you a 1-star review, but I think you should take it on board. If they turn around and went, do you know what? Go fuck yourself. Then maybe, yeah, valid. But why do people feel they need to go back, go online, keyboard warrior, and leave a 1-star? Just communicate.
That is such a good point. And McDonald's, still looking for a sponsor, but they cold chips for me. Why? I wouldn't accept cold chips anywhere else, but McDonald's, I can drive away eating cold chips. I'd be like, I'm coming back next week.
Honestly, at the moment, I barely eat when I'm at Gabs because I'm so busy. Like, I'll have a bit of bread here, a bit of just dry bread, sees me through, or I'll see a protein bar and I'm like, yes, Biscoff, give it to me. And like, that's how I live at the moment.
That was the game. Thank you for getting involved. It usually goes quicker than that. But what I loved is all the context you gave. I usually say 0 context, but I allowed it.
I'm an over-context girl.
No, it's brilliant. And I don't think we could have got through that game without context. So thank you for the context.
You're welcome.
We're going to do the closing tradition on the podcast now.
Okay.
Which is a voice note from my mum. She's left a question for you.
Yay.
So I'm going to play that down the mic now.
Hi, Gabbie. I love your grazing tables. I'm just thinking, though, I know a couple of people that if they were hungry, they would make a bit of a mess of one of these tables in about 10 minutes flat. How do you maintain the attractiveness of these tables as the evening goes on? I'd be really interested. Thank you very much.
It's a long one, isn't it, tonight? I know I shouldn't. I
love her. What a little angel.
Oh, she's amazing. Her name's Lisa. But it's a bit rambly, that
she's so cute.
No, she's amazing.
Basically, you just eat with your eyes closed, and you just don't notice that it looks messy. No. I don't know. I think that it's an art. It is an art. You are essentially creating art with food. And some people don't like the fact that it's all touching each other, but some people love it. And actually, I think that because it's so beautiful, people respect it more in a weird way. People are more conscious about where they're taking from and things like that. And it kind of just maintains itself in that sense. Like, how many times have you gone somewhere and had a buffet and it's in them horrible plastic platters and it's so beige and it tastes like shit, but you eat it anyway and it looks awful.
Yeah.
But with a grazing, a board or a table, whatever, it's so colourful, it's fresh, it's vibrant. It doesn't matter if people eat at it because the colours are still there. Even though you've taken it from certain areas, it still looks beautiful.
I think this is where the question's coming from Mum. She's an artist, so she's, again, the aesthetic of what you're doing is so special. Like, the people she's referencing are me and my brother. Like, what we would do to those platters would that art, there's a risk of it, and I would respect obviously your grazing platters.
But also I think that's the beauty of it. Is the fact that it looked beautiful, but you can eat it. I think I don't know how. I don't think it's a term of like, oh, we constantly maintain how it looks throughout the evening.
You're not just
I'm not tending to it. Yeah. But I think that because it looks so beautiful to start with, people don't mind that it kind of loses the beauty as it gets eaten because they're enjoying it as well.
It's on different layers as well, isn't it? You're eating with your eyes, so it's the aesthetics, and then you get to enjoy it. Yeah, wow,
it's a sensory thing as well. And actually, the amount of like the smell that a grazing table packs is insane because it's all fresh.
Yeah.
So like when I used to do, again, back to the mobile, I used to prepare everything within 12 hours. So if you had a booking on Saturday midday, I'd prepare it Friday evening through till Saturday. So I'd stay up all the way through and then we'd serve it to you.
Yeah.
When you get just a beige standard buffet, 9 times out of 10, it's deep fried, cold food. It's boring. It doesn't smell. It's nothing to it. With the grazing, you can smell the freshness of the food. You can smell the fruits. You can smell the meats and the cheeses and things like that. And it just all comes through together and it complements each other so well. And then it looks nice and you put flowers into it and it's beautiful. It's art.
Yeah, amazing. It goes back to your creative outlet as well. Gabby, it has been an absolute pleasure. Like I'm sat here. And it happens with a number of guests that we've interviewed. I'm sat here and I want to go and do something with my life now.
You're about to go run a 5K, mate.
I am doing something with my life, clearly. But yeah, some people you meet and you just feel enthused and like you've just sapped some of the energy out of the people that have sat opposite you. And it's just been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
And I have no doubt that what you're going to continue to build with Gabs and God knows what else is going to be a success.
Reach for the sky, baby.
There you go. So thank you so much. You've been a legend. But you're done. Well done.
Yeah.